Thanks for checking out Symphony on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for updates.
Where the FCT people are nowhere. I like to tell this congregation that some of the indigenes of FCT who have even gone to apply for NECO and WAEC, where they put the portal for state of origin 36, the FCT people always don't find where FCT belong. That describes our level of statelessness. And so for minister is wisdom to also understand this, because he is the one here, to also understand that there should be FCC, the city of government, and let there be the other part where people of the FCT will have government for the people, by the people, and of the people. So let there be a second tier government. And I'd like to also, on the preamble where it said, we Nigerians, in the constitution, sir, I think the best thing to be said there is that we Nigeria will sit, because there are so many things said in that constitution that we never agreed to. Number one, the ownership of land in the FCT. The ownership of land was said and promulgated and announced by a head of military. Nobody was consulted for it. It is said the entire ownership of land shall be vested on the government. And the constitution says we Nigeria agreed to it. FCT people never agreed to that, because we have our ancestral land that we have nowhere to go to except here. And so that should be looked into. I'd like to also talk about the issue of ministerial slot. Mr. Chairman, there is a court judgment since 15th of February 2018. I remember we petitioned the Senate, and the Senator unanimously agreed and sent their position to Mr. President to obey the court judgment for the past 3 years to appoint FCT native indigene into the Federal Executive Council, not as FCT minister, but into Federal Executive. Till today, he has not obeyed that court judgment. We need to be represented and to be part of the scheme of things. Mr. Chairman, sir, I think the issue here is we lack implementation of what is in the Constitution. Because the Constitution have said FCT should be treated as if it's a state. There is already a state structure. We have the district, we have the local government, we have the House of Rep, we have the senatorial, we have chief judge in FCT, we have command for police. We already have the structure laid up. Just recently, the FCTA, there is a civil service rule enacted by the National Assembly that we're going to have head of service for the FCT. So the structure, the second tier is there. All we need is elected chief executive officer and his legislature, because as I speak to you, the budget of FCT has not been passed. The budget of FCT have not been passed for 2021. Why? Because the entire National Assembly have to sit and deliberate on the budget, and they already have plenty issue of the nation to deal with. Now they have to come again and talk. Let's FCT have a governance that will take care of its people. I'd like to also talk about this very quickly, sir. That while other Nigerians in the northwest, in the south, in the east are saying we want secession, we want to go our separate way, the FCT people are saying include us, include us, include us. And I wonder why we cannot just look at the FCT people who have genuineness and belief in one Nigeria, because we are the center of the nation. If the people of FCT will also say, let's scatter this country, will it work? But they are saying, make us part of the country. Make us part because we believe in Nigeria. I think other Nigerians should look into this. In conclusion, in the words of my father, he said the greatest weapon that have conquered territory in time of war is not ballistic missiles, it's not nuclear weapon, it's not AK-47, but justice. Let's FCT people have justice.
I stand here to represent 7 million direct members of NLC with 47 affiliates covering all the nicks and crannies of this country, both in the formal, informal, and public sectors of our economy. And therefore, I request for your special protection, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, because we don't want all the 49 affiliates to come and speak here, and that's why I'm trying to consolidate our position.
Not only are you protected, I'm actually giving you 5 minutes and not 3.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the Nigerian Labour Congress is a pan-Nigerian organization that represents the interests of every shade of opinion in our polity, and that is why our approach to issues of national development have been guided by cohesion, the issue of justice, fairness, and equity. I've tried to categorize my presentation into two. One is on core labor issues and issues of socio-economic, cultural, and political issues. Mr. Chairman, on core labor issues, of recent there have been some recommendations to remove labor and the minimum wage from the exclusive list. And I think it's very important for me to lay this foundation why those two issues are actually in the exclusive list presently. Globally, Mr. Chairman, labor matters are governed by international labor standards as prescribed by International Labour Organization. Those international labor standards are adopted by international labor conventions. And gladly, Nigeria is a member state of the International Labour Organization, the first agency of the United Nations, which was formed in 1919 after the First World War. To date, Mr. Chairman, Nigeria have ratified 40 international conventions of the ILO, and already 26 are fully enforced, domesticated by the National Assembly. And importantly, the 8 core conventions that deals with labor, freedom of association, the right to organize, including the issue of the minimum wage, all have been ratified by the National Assembly and also domesticated in our national laws. It will therefore be anomalous, incongruous, and contemptible of global standard, and to even contemplate removing labor from the exclusive list, this will be tantamount to renouncing Nigeria's ratification of those conventions and repudiating Nigerian membership of the International Labour Organization. So therefore, I submit that on the basis of these facts, Your Excellencies, labor and minimum wage shall continue to be on the exclusive list. Let me also try to guide you on the national minimum wage. As we have said time without number, the minimum wage is also guided by a convention, Convention number 26 of the International Labour Organization, which Nigeria have domesticated many years ago in 1971. The national minimum wage is also not imposed on states. It's a process. All the governors are represented by one governor per each of the geopolitical zones at the negotiating table. So also employers of labor in the organized private sector, medium and small-scale enterprises, and therefore all the factors are considered. Ability to pay, the cost of living, inflation, all those factors were presented. And happily, Rochas Okorocha was a member that represents some of his governors from his region on that committee and many other governors. This has been the process. And therefore, the 30,000 naira that was agreed was not imposed on anybody by federal government. It was the process allowed by law that was adopted. So at this point, to come and say, well, remove it from the minimum wage because of federalism is also false. As I speak to you, 26 federal states across the world, including the United States of America and Germany, who have practiced federalism for over 200 years, have minimum wage preserved in their national laws. In our document, those issues have been made very clear. Minimum wage is about setting a minimum benchmark for all employers of labor to actually implement so that workers are not exploited. That's the principle. As I speak to you, the whole of Europe is now considering a minimum wage for the whole of Europe because of the issue of labor migration in countries where they have favorable and higher minimum wage. Mr. Chairman, this is the preamble, and those have been captured in our document. On the other issues which we are speaking on is the issue of local government autonomy, independence of the judiciary and the legislator arm of government, socio-economic and cultural rights, including the reforms that are needed in the judiciary, the electoral system, the issue of immunity clause, and also the issue of state creation, including local government creation, and a new revenue sharing formula that is also desirable. On the local government autonomy, Chairman, our position is very explicit. We want full autonomy for our local governments so that they can be recognized as third tier of government, both economically and politically, so that they can be able to play their role successfully, with also a caveat to ensure that the salary of primary school teachers is guaranteed. On the judiciary, there is no doubt that judiciary is an arm of government, and therefore we need to also ensure their full autonomy, especially for national autonomy, so that they can be able to play their role effectively. Same with the state legislators. On electoral reform, Mr. Chairman, a lot has been said about this. We want a situation where the vote of every woman and the vote of every man will count. It should be one man, one vote, one woman, one vote. And therefore, the deployment of technology is very, very important to make sure that we are able to also reform our electoral system, including the very important issue that the former governor of Edo State have laid, and I don't want to repeat that. On the socio-economic rights, we demand that the right enshrined in Chapter 2 of the 1999 Constitution under review should also be made justiciable. And on the issue of gender, a lot has been said about that. We want them also to be mainstream, including provision for a special provision in the two chambers of the National Assembly to also provide for this very special group. Mr. Chairman, on the issue of immunity, Labour demand that all elected public officers holders should not enjoy immunity from prosecution on criminal cases. Let me repeat, criminal cases. But we allow that on civil cases, so that they are not distracted from office, we can have such an immunity. This is what is applied globally, and therefore Nigeria should not be an exception. And on residency and indigenous issue, this issue has been led very clearly also. We adopt what we have agreed, because NLC also participated in the 2014 conference, in the amendment process of the 7th and 8th National Assembly, and all the issues I've quoted have been the position that NLC have led, and all those positions have been upheld, including the issue of core labor issues that I've said. On the issue of devolution of power, lastly, Your Excellency, there is need to review the current revenue sharing formula, actually to the advantage of local governments and states. It is very important because some of those responsibilities certainly should go to them. And therefore, our prayer is very straightforward. They are contained in the 71-page memorandum that we have submitted for your consideration, and I so adopt those prayers in the 71-page